everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Read Right to Left podcast. I am G, joined by my always wonderful co-host Ray from Whimsical Pictures.
Hi guys.
And this month we are talking about pet manga. It has been a double episode this month for you wonderful listeners. And this one, a little less involved than the previous episode.
Yeah.
Something a little bit lighter after the absolute marathon that was the previous.
Yes.
But I think this is, we're talking about a particular genre or type of manga. Today we're talking about pet manga. One that I think isn't overly complicated, but certainly appeals to most everyone. Especially those who have had a furry friend in their life.
Yeah.
So,
you could say, like, pet manga is not a very involved genre, but I feel like within manga, because it's manga, it goes to some very weird places sometimes.
Absolutely. No doubt about that.
The cat manga that keep getting licensed in English just get more and more abstract in concept.
Yes. I will.
That said, I kept things pretty simple with what I read.
Yeah, as have I. I have read a couple pet, I guess. So, and also, although we're calling this a genre episode, there is also a lot of pet manga, as Ray said, that fall into various genres because they do get very quirky very quickly because there's only so many times you can show off cats just being cats in a normal modern day pet manga. So instead we get all sorts of comedy manga, we've had horror manga, we've had all sorts of things. I'm sure there's sci-fi out there. I haven't read any specifically, but I would absolutely believe if you told me that there was a cat on a rocket in space somewhere, I'd say, yeah, absolutely.
I'm sure. There's definitely, like, isekai cat manga, like, up the wazoo, so...
Yes, yeah. So, this is going to be sort of all-encompassing. We're not going to be naming every single pet manga that has ever existed, because that would be impossible. And as Ray alluded to, a lot of it gets licensed a lot of the time. We've really seen a big uptick in licensed pet manga in the last 5-ish years. We've had some in the past prior to that, but I think especially with the cat manga, there's so much of it. Cat lovers, I guess, just really love manga that features cats. People who love cats.
I mean, I feel like I understand why it's a surefire seller, right? Because it's, like, really easy as a gift. Because it's like, if you know someone, you know, and you know they like manga, and they have a cat, you're like, sure, I'll buy the manga that's about having a cat.
And just also, like...
A lot of it tends to be, like, all ages rated as well, which makes it very accessible to children who want to read manga, but whose adults in their life may not be eager to be buying, like, teen-rated stuff for them just yet. So...
It also, I think, especially for if we're talking about, like, the manga reading community, there's a lot of crossover there with bookish types, and not to generalize, like, a whole group of people, but bookish types tend to have cats and love cats. So it appeals a little bit more to their sensibilities. I say that as a dog person, so, like, I'm not unbiased. I don't dislike cats, but I don't have a cat in my life. So personally, like, the huge amount of cat manga really is just like, well, you know, it is what it is. I read some of it.
I feel like in general, this type of genre, because it's very, like, comedy slice of life tends to be, you know, the overarching theme here, despite the off-the-wall titles that also exist. And that's not really my genre. I'm really picky about the art, too, so it's like if the animal drawings aren't cute enough, I'm like, don't want to read a whole series about this. But it's like, yeah, it's just not something I gravitate towards.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I have a dog. And when I'm with my partner, I have a cat. And I don't feel like I need manga to enjoy the feeling of having a dog or a cat.
Yes.
I just go pet my dog.
And so there's a huge amount of pet manga that feature, as we've said, very common pet animals, dogs and cats. I'm sure there's some about birds and things as well. We don't see a lot of that in English. But then there's also...
Yeah, I was like looking up, and there's like so many reptile like pet manga that I want to read that like are not licensed in English. It's like, why?
Give me the snake manga. I want to read the snake manga.
Give me the beardies. All of the beardies. I just got a pet tarantula. I would like to read a tarantula manga.
Oh, yes. But what I was...
She's very
so
cute.
those, even those are like, they're unusual pets, in the sense that most families don't own those, but they are still within the realm of possibility. There are manga that feature animals that really could never be your pet. There's a lot of like penguin manga. I don't know why. There's been like more than 2, which feels like a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know what the Japanese fascination with penguins is, but
I mean, they're cute. I don't know. Is this just because Misato has a fucking penguin? I don't know.
I don't know. So that is another, and I guess again that falls into that comedy slice of life thing, because it is a wacky pet that nobody actually has, unless you're some sort of very specific zoo veterinarian or something, and they're not really a pet, they just might be something you're looking after. Now,
I think we need to ponder, like, the most important philosophical question here, which is the Darwin incident a pet?
A pet manga? Oh.
That's, I think, the question we really need to be answering.
For current era, as of the day that we are recording this, the American Manga Awards have just like announced their winners, and best new manga, one of the nominees was The Darwin Incident.
The Darwin Incident.
I don't know what to say to that, because it's certainly isn't the most isn't the best new manga. Full stop, for the various reasons we've already laid out. I also don't agree with like 90% of the nominations, but that one was like not good.
That one was like, anytime anyone says anything positive about the Darwin incident, I feel like I'm insane. Like, I feel like I've like slipped into an alternate reality where the Darwin incident isn't one of the most cursed pieces of fiction I've ever had the misfortune of reading. For more on the Darwin incident, check out our bonus New Year episode on the worst manga debuts of last year.
Our most hated debuts of 2023. We will not allow Charlie to take over this episode. We shall move swiftly on. Also, Mothers was robbed in that award, but that's fine. We will keep going. So we have quite a few questions here. For those who are new to the podcast, you can listen to us on pretty much any podcasting platform. Spotify being the main one, but we're on Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts as well as YouTube. My YouTube channel is Simply G. Thank you to everyone who sent in questions as per always. Only 2 people, but we've got quite a few questions, which I think will help facilitate conversation, because as we said, there's a lot of they're just fun and easy and not overly complicated. There's no must-read pet manga. Maybe I would argue one, but 97% is just, it's fine. It's fine. It's good. It's an easy gift for that cat lover or child in your life. Yeah. So, without further ado, let's chat maybe a little bit about what we read ahead of going into this podcast. What about yourself, Ray?
Well, the thing about pet manga I find is that if you read a volume of it, you kind of know, you have a good idea of what the series is. So yes. I went into this reading just a bunch of first volumes, as well as some one-shot volumes, which is also pretty common in this genre. Going in, I'd already read Lil Leo, of course, which is the Hagiomoto cat manga, and it's weird as hell, just like you would hope. And then I'd also read Stargazing Dog, which is lovely, very sad. It's Marley and Me energy, that one.
Yeah.
And of course, I had read Junji Ito's Cat Diary, which is a classic for the ages, truly. But some of the stuff that I read new, I guess it's not new to me, but I reread the first volume of A Man and His Cat, which is delightful. I read She and Her Cat, which somehow I hadn't read before. Well, that's not too shocking. I'm not a big Shinkai fan, so... I read With a Dog and a Cat, Every Day is Fun, which I believe got an anime recently. Nights with a Cat, this one has a lot of, specific, pages of it, or comic strips that have gone viral multiple times. I read Papa Sits a Tract, Doomsday with My Dog, and Yuzu the Pet Vet. What about you?
So, I am in a similar situation where I have read Lil Leo, as well as A Man and His Cat. I had also previously read, and I've read quite a few volumes of A Man and His Cat. I'm not up to date with it, but I have read 6 or 7 volumes of that. I had also already read She and Her Cat, as well as The Walking Cat, or what is that called? So it's Night of the Living Cat, something like that. No, The Walking Cat, A Cat's Eye View of the Apocalypse, which obviously is a play on The Walking Dead. I had read The Emperor and I, which is one of those weird ones about penguins. I had also read Junji Ito's Cat Diaries, Yonomu. As Ray said, certainly one for the ages. For this particular episode, I read a handful of other... I read the first volume of She's Sweet Adventures, or whichever one it is, the original one, not the sequel. I also read the first volume of Inubaka. And I also read something else that I can't remember right now, and obviously didn't make that much of an impact on me. It was another cat manga.
Yeah.
So, yes, that's...
Yes.
I'm sure there's also something else that I'm forgetting, but that's kind of where I sit. Oh, actually, also, like, and this is maybe not quite pet manga, but I have also read the first volume of Dinosaur Sanctuary, which is about as, like, it's Jurassic Park, but less people getting eaten. Which I think falls under the same thing of like Yuzu the pet vet, but not necessarily, as realistic.
But dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs, exactly. It's certainly one that's meant to be more about teaching kids about dinosaurs, right?
Dinosaurs.
So
and kids love learning about dinosaurs.
I love learning about dinosaurs. I mean, come on.
I should check the rating of that one and see if it'd be one for the classroom.
It's it's not super duper. Well, I don't know if it would be frightening or anything. Oh, I've also read I'm the Cat Lord's Manservant, but that I don't feel like is a pet manga. Oh, I remember what I forgot. It was A Story of Seven Lives, which is obviously another cat manga. And it follows the various owners of like one particular stray cat. So, lots of cat manga, one dog manga. And I have to say, like, I'm most upset that the dog manga was like not good. The dogs were cute. But,
Inubaka's not good.
Well, it's not like
I've
the
never
worst
read it.
thing I've ever read, but like it's a seinen, right? So the way that it treats the female main character is horrendous. And
oh no.
I'm just gonna go off on Inubaka. First of all, it's like drawn well and whatever. There's some very unnecessary fan service of the main female character who's an 18-year-old girl who is complete. The premise of Inubaka is that there's this 18-year-old girl. She has a dog that is just this mutt. He's only a year old, but they're very, very close, and she loves him a lot. And she's kind of just like very ditzy and naive and sheltered. And we learn that she was kidnapped when she was younger because she's just so trusting, and so her parents are very overprotective.
Oh God.
Anyway, so she's like, I'm 18, I want to live on my own, I'm going to the big city. And then immediately gets kidnapped by some guys trying to pick up girls. Meanwhile, there's also like a guy who owns a pet store in Tokyo. He's in his mid-20s. He's got this very beautiful purebred dog he owns this pet store that only sells puppies. All puppies is their specialty. So he's going to the country to like breed his dog because it's a bitch. It's a female breeding dog. And he's very particular. He wants to like, champion puppies, blah, 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 blah. Whilst this girl's getting kidnapped and whilst this guy's like stopped at a rest stop, the guys who kidnap her like just ditch her because they realize like, oh, this might be more trouble than it's worth. And whilst both owners are preoccupied, their dogs have a fun time. Let's put it that way. And there's a possibility that puppies may now be involved. Obviously, this guy is really upset because he was planning on, breeding specifically with other dog, blah, blah, blah. And so he's like, well, you have to take responsibility, and he gives her his business card. He's also been trying to look for a part-timer, and nobody's good enough because they don't understand what it takes to look after, puppies, but also, like, being in a pet shop, you have to treat them like merchandise, you can't get attached to them, all this stuff. Anyway, ultimately, she ends up working for him as this part-timer because despite her being useless in like everything else in her life, she just has this sixth sense when it comes to dogs. And you know, that's amazing. And there's maybe hints that this might be because of a dog saved her when she was kidnapped when she was young and all this other stuff. Anyway, all of that to say, there's a lot of unnecessary fan service. This girl is treated terribly, and I don't just mean insofar as like she's this dumb ditzy, doesn't know how to survive in the big world type of character type. But also, like, so this guy, he has one of his high school buddies, or former high school buddies, living with him. Like, he took him in. He's unable to adopt strays, right? Or he's unable to not adopt strays. So he's weak to people in need. So anyway, his friend, who's like this loser wannabe musician, when he finds out that all her life savings, which is about 20,000 yen, she just has, because she wanted to like have an apartment and all these sorts of things. That's not nearly enough. He just steals it and then like loses it all in pachinko. And then there's nothing like, nobody says like, oh, maybe we should call the police. He stole from her wallet her entire savings. It's just like, oh man. And then his recommendation, or like the way he tries to make it up with her, is that to suggest that she starts working at a hostess bar that one of his friends runs. I'm like, what? Oh my god. Oh, I just hate everything about this situation. Every female character is treated like this. There's a lot of hot girls in this manga. Again, it's a seinen manga, so like that's not inherently the worst thing. But one of them, that was just the only saving grace is that the dogs are cute, the puppies are cute, all the animals are drawn well. Like I don't think that this mangaka dislikes. Well, I don't know. They're just, I don't know. Also, I hate it more because it made me cry. I fucking hate it. Because in the first volume, one of the character chapters that introduces a new character as well, she has a senior golden retriever who's been with her family for a long time, and she's visiting the pet store because she wants a chihuahua, right? And she makes the comment that her parents or her family won't let her have two dogs. So when Reggie or whatever the old dog dies, she'll get the chihuahua. And you know, our main character is very upset that she so offhandedly say that she wants the dog to die and blah blah blah. So it's a 13-year-old golden retriever, and as someone who had a dog in her life for 16 years, this dog, me personally, seeing how, because so ultimately this dog dies, right? Like this golden retriever, it notices that the Chihuahua puppy has a heart condition, which is very common with purebred animals anyway, but especially Chihuahuas. So the dog like has a sense, and then they take the Chihuahua to the vet, and the vet's like, oh my goodness, it has a irregular heart beat or whatever. That's amazing. And then the old dog goes home, goes to the backyard of the family, and collapses whilst looking at the ball that the girl used to throw around when she was a little kid. And now I'm just like fucking sobbing. I'm like, how dare you? Oh my god. And then, so then this dog is rushed to the vet as well, the same vet, because apparently there's only one vet in Tokyo. And, well, no, I think the family lives in the area, so that's not terrible. But the mum the dog dies. She calls the daughter, and then she's freaking out, like, obviously extremely sad because, again, this was her dog for 12 or 13 years. And I'm just like, how dare you? How dare you make me so sad? Because, like, I've lived that shit. No, I didn't live like, oh, I'm gonna get a new puppy once the old one died. But it's, like, when you lose... Pets do become members of the family, so when you lose them, especially if they've been with the family for a long time, and over 10 is a very long time for certain breeds, it hurts, man. I'm still not over it. My dog went to heaven in 2021, and I'm still getting all choked up about it. So, like,
yeah.
I'm just like, how dare you? I fucking hate this manga, and you still made me cry over the senior dog dying and having a peaceful death. Like, it wasn't a horrific thing, but that makes it worse somehow. And that makes it worse. And, yeah, so it did that effectively, but maybe that's just because I'm a big sook and they played into my emotions.
Yeah, but definitely very easy to draw out the tears with sad dog stories.
So, I do not recommend Inubaka if the issues that I mentioned, are, sound unappealing. But I will say that...
And by issues, we mean misogyny?
Yes, misogyny. Just overwhelming misogyny. And then also, so, like, after the dog dies, the girl adopts the Chihuahua, that has to have surgery, so it puts her in, like, a big debt, right? And then she goes working at the hostess bar to pay off her debt.
No!
Like, what the fuck?
No!
Why? Oh my god. Yeah, so, and she has no issue with that, because she's like, well, now I'm looking after Melon, or whatever the child's name. I'm like, oh my god. Oh my god, why? This is the worst thing I've ever... It's not the worst thing I've ever read, but oh my god, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. Viz licensed Inubaka. We got, I think, 17 volumes out of the 22 and then just dropped it. Presumably because the market it wasn't selling very well. I'm surprised that, well, I don't know. That seems like so many volumes to get through.
Yeah.
Before dropping it. Like, it's only 5 more that you had to finish up. But maybe... I don't know. I don't like to speculate. But, so even if you wanted to read this one, it's very out of print. It's unfinished. I managed to read the volume that I did through the library. I wasn't gonna, find a secondhand copy of that. Although there are, there are print versions out there if you so wish. But... yeah, I do not recommend.
But honestly, who cares?
Which is a shame, because I wanted to like a dog manga. I am a dog person, and I wanted to like it.
I was thinking to segue into the one that made me cry unfairly, but instead, I think I'll segue into, better dog manga.
Please, give me some recommendations.
Alright, so, namely, Papa Sits Attract was adorable.
No, very good.
It's it's Josei Energy. I don't know, what magazine it ran in or whatever. Probably Seinen, who cares? But it's adults having a very sweet, budding romance because their dogs just happen to have similar, overlapping walk routes. And it's this tall, buff guy with a little Pomeranian and a petite, lovely woman with a Rottweiler. And the Pomeranian's name is Monjiro, and the Rottweiler's name is Tsubu-chan. And they have a meet cute. They both love their dogs very, very much. Their dogs love them very, very much. Their dogs become fast friends, which means that they have to become fast friends so that their dogs can hang out with each other. And by the end of the first volume, we're in kind of mutual feelings territory already. So, I mean, they're going to start dating sooner rather than later, I think. But the two dogs are drawn very adorably, and there's no weird fan service, so
or overwhelming misogyny. Very good.
It's like, I don't know if I'll go out of my way to read more of it, you know, but it's cute. It does what it sets out to do.
Very good.
Now, dog manga I didn't like is Doomsday with My Dog. Because this one, I feel like it's the type of manga I usually would really like. Because it's like this offbeat 4-coma thing with this girl, high school girl, you know, in post-apocalyptic, you know, just wasteland of what used to be Tokyo, with her Shiba Inu, her talking Shiba Inu, who is like, the joke is that he's like bizarrely philosophical, so he's just like dropping random nuggets of wisdom. Like esoteric wisdom. Which sounds incredibly my shit. I love offbeat, weirdo stuff like that. But the humor just doesn't hit for me. So, and it's also, you know, it's a seinen manga with a main character who's a high school girl. Yeah. Enough said.
Yeah.
So that one was a miss. But, and then the other one with a dog in it that, well, Yuzu the Pet Vet has a lot of dogs too. But, one of the main characters is a dog, obviously, with a dog and a cat. Every day is fun. This one's like an autobiographical manga. It's the mangaka just, like, writing about what it's like to live with their very overly excitable toy poodle and their mafia boss cat who just glares creepily at them all the time. And, like, runs around destroying the kitchen after they go to bed with their dog every night.
Sounds about right. Checks out.
Yeah. This was the one that made me laugh, was like, it's like, there's a really sweet page where, they're, like, sleeping next to their dog, and it ends with the dog being like, it's not the sleeping that I like, it's sleeping together that I like. And then, like, the next page has, like, this cat, like, going absolutely apeshit in the kitchen while they're trying to sleep. And then it just this... The owner's like, you really love stealing food to eat, don't you? And the cat just makes the most hellish face and is like, it's not the eating that I like, it's the stealing.
Spot on. Exactly. No notes. Perfect.
And, so I really want to watch the anime now because, like, the manga, the one thing that was holding it back for me was that it's, like, really roughly drawn. So So that makes me want to check out the anime. Because the humor's on point. I just love this awful cat.
Oh my god, that's very good, fantastic.
So yeah, that was a good one.
As said at the beginning, a lot of these manga and don't get me wrong, I love a good gremlin cat manga. I would also say that like a lot of them are just the same thing because a lot of people experience the same gremlin cat energy or adorable dog energy, right? Like it's just, or goofball dog energy. And unless we're talking about like very specific genre ones like The Walking Cat, The Apocalypse from the perspective, or whatever the subtitle is, I don't know, I don't care. Which is about a cat in a zombie apocalypse. Most of the like down to earth comedy, whether they're autobiographical or just someone who really likes cats, they're all, or dogs or whatever, they're all pretty much the same. You can enjoy them, and they're normally just a bit of fun hijinks, family friendly hijinks, that include the family's beloved pets. So I think starting from the top, Whimsy Dearest sent in a question saying, if you could have any pet from any manga, which would it be?
Oh, this is not just limited to pet manga. This is like any pet. Nyanko Sensei.
I was gonna say Nyanko. He's sort of the perfect mix of old man and gremlin cat. So, you know.
Yeah, also he's adorable.
He's adorable. He'd be a good drinking partner. You'd have a good time with Nyanko.
Yeah, and he can take care of himself, you know?
Exactly.
He's actually thousands of years old, you know, yokai.
You don't have to clean the litter box. You don't have to buy stinky cat food. You don't have to take him to the vet. It's great.
You just have to buy him booze.
Which I'm already doing for me, so it's fine.
And manju. Yeah, gotta be Nyanko. He's peak. He's peak.
Peak pet. Peak pet energy.
Does Snoopy count as a manga character? I love that beagle.
Yeah,
I feel like he's popular enough in Japan to count as a manga character.
Yeah, I see enough Snoopy merch. Plus, right, manga's just comics in Japanese. So
it's just comics.
Theoretically. Absolutely.
He's a World War I flying ace.
Yes. Sorry.
He's also Joe Cool.
Joe Cool.
Joe Cool about the block.
Who wouldn't want Joe Cool as just your best friend? And, you know.
And then the rest of our questions are from our unofficial moderator. Stories on Shelves at Storied Shelves. Always appreciate the wonderful questions that they send in. Their first question is, any series you haven't read yet that you're interested in? I think I read the first volumes of all the ones I was interested in, to be honest.
For me, mine would be Papa Sit's Attract, namely because, dogs. It's a fairly recent new release, and it's nice to hear that it's good, because that's what I wanted to hear. Or, like, it's not offensive. It's inoffensive fun, and that's what I want. I don't need it to be super duper involved. And I think I'm just now, like, I just need to heal from Inubaka a bit as well.
Inubaka.
But as to that point, aside from that, not really anything else. If they started licensing more interesting or exotic pet pet manga, then maybe yes. But like as said, a lot of the cat stuff is fun and funny, but I don't care that much. Like I don't need to. My life isn't lacking because I haven't read the 12 new cat releases.
Yep. Pretty much. Yeah. I was really curious to read Nights with a Cat because I like the comics that have gone viral from it. And I did read that. So I've also been curious about Yuzu the Pet Vet just because all the volumes of it are all ages rated, and it's, you know, very clearly made for children, so I've had my eye on it as a possible classroom edition for a while, so I was happy to read it. But there aren't really any left that I need to read, I don't think. If Hagiomoto decides to make another manga about her cats, then I will read that one. Which series had an art style that you really like? For me, this... Yeah?
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
Yeah. For me, this would be Nights with a Cat. I really love just the weird, like, bug-eyed faces that everybody has in this one, and just the absolutely perfect way that this artist has captured just the absolute cryptid energy of cats while still making them so cute and charming. I love, like the dead-eyed stares between the owner and the cat, whose name is QR Code because one of the first times they apparently tried to take a photo of this cat, the patterns on its forehead registered to the phone as a QR code. Which, if that isn't cryptid energy, I don't know what it is. That's cursed. But, yeah, it's just truly the essence of cat ownership is depicted on these pages. And it's also just very clean and easy to read through. It's a very quick volume to get through because of that, which I know both of us always appreciate.
Yes.
We're always getting on series that don't quite manage to be that clean, so yeah. That'd be mine.
Very good. I mean, aside from the easy answer that is Little Leo, being Motohagi's art style that we just...
Well, that one's also, like, I like how she employs a very storybook style. It's very, like, vintage storybook aesthetic, that one.
Absolutely. So that's the easy answer. I do also I do think that, like, if we're talking about capturing ugly cute, I think A Man and His Cat does that really, really well. Because that cat is not a cute... It's not a pretty cat. It is a very cute cat. And
He's perfect.
He's so beautiful. I love him. He's such a good boy. But and that series I think just has a fairly standard nice manga style as well. But the cats in that manga are
very attractive old men.
Yeah, attractive old men and a lot of round, pudgy, ugly cats that are loved by their old men. And that really, what else could you want from your pet manga? I will say that, like, I think that Junji Ito's style works very well for Yonenmu, Cat Diary of Yonenmu. I don't... Pardon?
His cat illustrations are, like, you can tell how much he loves his cats from how detailed they are.
Yes, he adores his cats. And he in his very quirky style, does show how much his cats are gremlins and do the most oddball shit, but you love them anyway, or you love them because of that. And I think that lends itself very well to Ito's just very weird horror style as well. I do think if we're talking about, like, because it's so hyper realistic in how he draws his cats, when they give you that weird stare, that blank stare, you're also like, oh my god, this is maybe the perfect avenue for Junji Ito manga. This might be the greatest work of all time.
I mean,
so
I think so.
I would agree. I would agree. And if you can hear our thoughts on Junji Ito, because we did do a whole episode about the man. So I hate to, like, rely on, I guess, easy answers. There's a lot of series, like She's Sweet Home is very cute and very simple. And so in that way, it's very good at what it does, but I wouldn't say, like, you have to read this for the art style. It just is a nice, clean, cute little thing that would definitely appeal to your 12-year-old or your 10-year-old without causing too many issues.
The next question from at Storied Shelves is, which series has been the most impactful to you? Yeah. Do you have one that hit you harder than the others? I know Inubaka made you cry, and that angered you severely.
It angered me severely because it god damn it. Maybe that's my own personal weakness. And in a similar vein, not a similar vein. Another pet manga that has made me cry on, like, multiple occasions is, of course, A Man and His Cat. Because, oh my god. That cat is the sweetest, loveliest thing. That old man needed that cat so much. He just needed someone to love.
And the cat needed the old man so much.
I know. And now they're a family. And they just love each other so much. And I feel like that...
Literally, like... That series gets, like, the badge of honor for, like, literally making me cry within, like, the first 2 pages. Just him, like, so dejected in the pet store because it's been a whole year and he hasn't been adopted. Because he's ugly.
I know.
And he's on a discount because they're trying to get rid of him.
Oh, don't remind me.
Perfect.
He's such a good boy. He's so beautiful. He's just the sweetest. He's just full of so much love. And how could anyone not love him? I don't know. So, this is maybe, like, out of all the various pet manga that have ever existed, this is the one that I would say, like, everyone should read, and regardless of your feelings on cats, or regardless of your feelings on, like, pet manga, this is, like, just an actually just fantastic manga, and everyone should read it. And if you don't cry, then you, I think, need to do a little bit of soul searching, because how could you not?
The one out of these that hit me the hardest actually did end up being Yuzu the Pet Vet. Made me cry multiple times. I know it says at the end of the first volume that this series was made greenlit in Nakayoshi as, like, a tie-in to go alongside, like, some, like, handheld game where you run a vet. I mean,
Yeah, a cooking mama, but for vets, right? Like, something like that.
Yep. So, like, it honestly had no right to be as, like, heartfelt as it was. It's like the quintessential Nakayoshi style, and, like, all of the dogs look like these, like, they look like Littlest Pet Shop dogs. They got huge, like, jewel eyes and giant heads, and they're really, like, fluffy and curly. But the, like, medical issues that have these dogs coming in to the vet are, like, really realistic, like, things that dogs deal with.
Yeah.
And the one that absolutely wrecked me is, like, chapter 2 or something.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
And it's, the girl who owns this little dog, toy poodle, is, like, she's a, I guess, up-and-coming kind of idol. Basically, she was, and of course she goes to the main character's school, so she's, like, you know, one of the younger, like, AKB idol types, right? Middle school age, because the idol industry is fucking awful. Horrendous, evil. She basically, whatever idol girl group she was in, she was always, like, she never got picked for stuff. She was always, like, in the back of the lineup. She just wasn't making it at all, right? Until she started performing with her dog. She trained her dog, her little toy poodle, to do her idol dances with her and became, like, a viral hit. And so basically this dog being in, like, perfect physical condition and able to dance is, like, key to, like, her dreams coming true and everything. Realistically key to her, like, financial success, but that's not the series is for 10-year-olds.
Yeah, we
so it's she needs her dog to be beautiful in order for her idol dreams to come true. But her dog has a big bald patch that just keeps getting bigger. So she takes him into the vet. And it turns out that he has Cushing's disease. And, like, my family's senior dog also recently got diagnosed with Cushing's disease.
Oh, no.
And, so the whole thing is that, like, her and her, like, mean manager are, like, because they're basically like, well, Cushing's disease, you can, like, treat it with medication, but it can't be cured, right? So your dog's going to be on medication for the rest of its life, and it's not going to be able to do that kind of rigorous activity anymore.
Yeah.
And also it's going to take, like, you know, a month or two for this bald spot to fill back in with fur, even after you start the medication. She's like, no, like, you know, my dream, like, my dog can't have an ugly bald spot. My dog can't be sick. And the manager's like, we're just going to have to replace the dog. So, and, you know, they try to keep it a secret, right? And, like, replace it with a dog that looks just like it. But the main character, of course, like, takes one look at a video with this new dog and is like, that's not the same dog. So she, like, goes to her classmate's house and is like, how could you just replace that dog? It's a living creature. And she takes her into her bedroom where this was hard just because my dog, like, has the same thing.
Yeah.
So, fully, that's why this made me cry so bad. But, like, she, despite her manager's wishes, has kept, of course, her dog that she loves. But, of course, she hasn't put him on medication. So, he's just, like, missing, like, patches of fur everywhere, and he's, like, so weak. And she's like, I couldn't ever possibly replace my dog. I need him to be better. I need help. And they get him the medicine that he needs, and it's, you know, a happy ending. And, of course, like, she goes viral with, like, I'm sorry, I tried to, like, pull one over on you guys, my fans. But my dog's actually been sick for a while now, and, you know, I just didn't want you guys to know about that, so I was using a different dog, but this is Popo, this is what he looks like. He's got a lot of bald spots right now, but he's just as adorable, and all of her fans are like, you know, we're cheering for Popo and for you, and it's, like, super cute and wholesome. Sometimes it's the simple things, right?
Yeah.
But
well, yeah.
There's another chapter in that volume that's about, like, a senior dog who has dementia. And so that one also made me cry.
Yeah, of course.
But it's like, you know, making these things, like, there's another one I think that's about just, like, having to come to terms with the fact that your dog is reaching the end of its life.
Yes. Yeah.
There's another one as well that's, like, cats, actually. And it's, you know, another one of her classmates, but she's, like, dealing with the fact that, you know, she lost, like, this cat that she loved so much. And then her family has gotten a new cat, and she feels like it's, like, unfair to her old cat if she gives the same love to the new cat. Which these are, like, very real emotions that, like, a lot of kids are gonna, that anybody's gonna experience. A lot of us have experience with pet death. But especially for kids, a lot of times, like, you know, for a lot of kids, some of their earliest experiences with death are going to come from pets. And so I like that this manga is not shying away from, you know, the harder parts of having an animal with a shorter lifespan in your life. I think that it deals with it very respectfully and in a way that kids can understand. So, pleasant read.
Something else from so as said, Inubaka made me cry because a senior dog died, and I, having lived that experience, wasn't okay. And then the other thing that, like, I want to give the series credit because I do think that it shows that hard side of pet ownership as well. It's not just all terrible misogyny. It does actually have some good stuff about dogs. And it is, like, especially in the first volume, very, like, the guy is explaining or introducing all the different puppies and, like, explaining the breeds and whatever. And there's a lot of, like, cute little fluffy things, as well as golden retrievers and, you know, some of the bigger dogs that, as puppies, are small, but then obviously get quite a lot larger as they mature. But one of the things that, it didn't make me cry, but it really, like, it affected, and this again is because of personal experience. It kind of like really stuck out to me because there's one scene where this couple, there's a beautiful lady and then kind of just a you know, not even like an ordinary looking dude, but kind of, you know, he's batting way above his average. But they're buying this dog, and it's some sort of Papillon or a toy poodle or something along those lines. And she, you know, the girl's squealing over the dog, and she's very happy. And the store owner, he's explaining, he kind of reads the vibe, and he says to the woman or to the couple, if there's any problems or if it doesn't work out, bring the dog back here. So keep us in mind and bring the puppy back. And she's like, oh, well, no, I don't want to, you know, why would I want to get rid of the dog? Blah, blah, blah. And then as they leave, she's like, oh, we need to go to Louis Vuitton to get a leash and blah, blah. Like, obviously, not really, she's plying this guy for money, right? Like, there's obviously some other agenda here. And although the situation that I'm thinking about isn't someone plying someone for money, but so my grandmother used to breed toy poodles. So she had 2 or 3 breeding bitches and a couple of the studs, or like the male dogs, and she would have quite a few puppies at a time. This is back in the 60s and 70s. Don't try to cancel my grandmother. She is no longer in this world. And it was a way for a single mother to bring in income. So my mum grew up with a lot of puppies around all the time. And so before that, and so they'd sell the puppies on to people who wanted them. And toy poodles are very popular because they're small and they're cute, but they're also very smart. And people, I think people look at poodles and don't, especially the toys and teacup and miniature poodles. In fact, my grandmother mostly bred teacup poodles, so even smaller than toys. And they are high-strung. They are high-strung little animals, as most small things tend to be. But before my grandmother sold any of the puppies, she'd always make sure they were housebroken. She always made sure they had all their shots. And she always said to whoever it was who bought it, if you have any issues, bring the puppy back. Because she would know that people buy pets, and we see this all the time with rabbits over Easter. We see this all the time with pets on Christmas. Pets are a lot of work. Like, they are a living creature, and they need care. They are expensive. They sometimes, if they are a purebred anything, they have various health complications and issues. And so people, and kids especially, can get bored of it. They don't. It's fun for the 10 days, and then they get preoccupied with other things, and then it's the parents who have to look after it, and the parents don't think that they have time, or they don't want to take the dog for a walk, and they know that the kids aren't going to take the dog for a walk, so they just give it to a pound, right? They just get rid of the dog, or the cat, or the bird, or whatever it is. And my grandmother didn't want that to ever happen. So there was instances, certainly more than once, where people would bring the puppy back, because people, I don't think, realize like the commitment when they buy a pet, or the workload. And so that, I think, despite me really disliking this manga, that was something that really jumped out at me. And I didn't personally live this thing, but it's something that I know was very much the standard for my mom growing up, and I've heard a lot about it, as, you know, that's part of the reality of it. And I think it stood out as like very true to life. So again, I hate to give points to Inubaka, but it did that well, and it you know, raised my little antenna of like, damn, this is good actually. I just hate everything around it. So,
well, I mean, it's like, that hits especially, like, coming from a country where, like, even now, like, the rates of pound animals that end up put down is, like, 80%.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And that's the other thing, is that everyone wants a purebred, you know, whatever it is. And there's so many mutts, quote unquote, out there that are perfectly healthy, won't ever have the issues of, you know, a purebred, but aren't seen as desirable because they aren't a purebred, you know. And
they don't have an optimal bloodline.
I know, it's, what is this? And even certain mixes are more desirable than others, right? Like a cavoodle or you know,
oh god, like fuck doodles, like not the dogs, but like the culture around the dogs, you know.
Yeah. Or
the dogs are fine.
Or also like the labradoodles, all of those things where they're a bigger dog, but they want the hypoallergenic part of the poodle, because obviously people have allergies, and they're curly and fun, and they're big family dogs. Obviously the bigger the dog, the more work it tends to be. And they're also more
so
chill.
Many health issues.
Yeah, they're a lot more chill than the smaller dogs as well, so that's why they're good for families, quote unquote. But yeah, I don't know. There's this the Cavalier Shih Tzus and Shih Tzu Maltese mixes are very, very popular. There's a lot of, but all of those breeds. So if you have something that isn't a conventional mix as well, then that poor animal, just kind of like the ugly cat in A Man and His Cat, they aren't as desirable. People don't want them, and they have a very sad life if they don't get adopted. Ultimately, what I'm trying to say is I have a lot of opinions about how people, one, treat their pets or treat animals that they've adopted, or not adopted, that they've bought. I guess adopted is the right word, from breeders and things. I have a lot of opinions about purebred animals. I have a lot of opinions personally on cats here in Australia. I think it's just irresponsible to have an animal, even if it's an inside cat, because I have a lot of opinions about cats in Australia. So, you know, I think that also affects how you look at some of these, because I don't dislike cats. My parents had a cat when I was born, and that cat was amazing. But I would never have a cat here in the country that I live, because there's too many little creatures that are unique to this country and already very, very endangered, that a cat would go out and kill super duper easy. And again, I know that people have indoor cats. Where I live, we have bylaws prohibiting people from owning dogs and cats, as part of like just noise management reduction stuff. Plus, we have a lot of little native critters around. But there's one place in this kind of unit, not compound, but unit structure, where they have a cat because the cat pre-existed the change in the bylaws. And they claim it's an inside cat. The amount of times I've seen that cat roaming around is a lot of times. And that's not the cat's fault. That is the owner's fault. And I just don't trust people to have the best, like, to look after their animal in the way that they should. And look after their community the way that they should. So, you know, it's not the animal's fault. It's the human's fault. But I can't put bylaws against the humans. I can only put bylaws against the cat. Just my 2 cents that you don't have to agree.
This has been G's dog and cat owning ethics corner. Got an idea for another podcast, G.
Oh, very good.
Just 2 more questions to go. At Storied Shelves asks, what series do you feel are hidden gems? For me, that would be Lil Leo. I feel like a lot of people don't realize this got licensed, but
yes.
And I mean it's not a must read in the way that other Hagio series are, but I feel like if you're a fan of cat manga, it's very much worth the read. I don't think it's very much like other cat manga that are out there. I think it has a very particular offbeat sense of humor, very surreal, which is in line with Hagio's general worldview presented in her manga, to be honest. And it's got her wonderful art, again, with that sort of little golden book kind of like storybook feel to it in this case. Yeah, and it's a beautiful book too, put out by Denpa.
Absolutely. One of their first releases as a publisher, and beautiful. I would agree with Lilia. It's certainly one that's, like, it's hard for me to say anything else because I am admittedly not across every pet manga that's ever been released. And a lot of the stuff that aren't mainstream hits already, like A Man and His Cat or Junji Ito's Cat Diary, like, people know about those. So those aren't hidden gems. If we're talking about actually something that you haven't heard of and is definitely worth reading, Little Leo would be the standout.
I have an impulse also to say Nights with a Cat just because I haven't seen my own personal circles talking about it, but I feel like considering how many comics from this book have gone viral, like viral, I wouldn't necessarily consider it a hidden gem, but maybe a lot of people haven't realized that, like, the collection, the actual print collection of those comics has been released in English, so if you didn't know that, now you do.
Now you do. Now you can watch it. Or watch it, read it. You can watch... No,
read it.
Read it. Does it have an anime?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it has an anime, so you can do both. You can do both.
Does it?
Yes. Because
Nice. Yeah, and then the last question from at Storied Shelves. What approach do you prefer for pet manga when it comes to format or genre? I don't know. It's not really my genre to begin with. I mean, I like when it's, focused on the pets and not, like, random misogyny, I guess. Yeah. That's pretty cool.
It kind of is nicer, because something that we maybe didn't touch on is, like, there are pet manga that are about the owners versus the pets. Like, the pets are just kind of a catalyst for whatever, and it's actually about the humans. She and Her Cat is very much, I mean, it's about the cat, it's from the cat's perspective, but it's really about the human drama around there. Same with The Walking Cat. I will say She and Her Cat, at least the manga, it certainly is about the female main character's drama, but it is also just as much, if not more, about the main female character's thighs. So, yes, well, of course. As a cat, that's the only place you're looking. Sorry, but
that book was something.
It was very Shinkai, 7 Lives or whatever it is, the longer title. That's also, it has a lot of cat drama, and again, the characters and perspectives from the cat, but it's really about, like, the human drama, and trauma that those cats have had, and then healing from that trauma. It's really about the humans, and of course, that's what pet manga is all about. It's about the relationship between human people and their animals. You can't completely remove that. But I think if we're talking about, like, And if you're doing dramatic stuff, then, like, of course, that's what you would do. Maybe I just don't really like the drama. I have a more fun time with the comedy stuff. Again, it's not like I wouldn't go out of my way to read it, but anything, and like Yonenmu is very funny. There's a lot of, I think if you're doing a funny series, short and sharp, whether it's 4 or like shorter comic chapters, is the way to go. You don't need 30 pages to show off a joke or 2 jokes. So maybe that's my bias there in saying that, as previously mentioned, A Man and His Cat is certainly a drama, and is more so done in the comic style, or more general manga style, and that works very, very well. But I think that balances the drama and the cuteness perfectly, rather than just being like overwrought, and only focused on like the Iyashike healing side of it, which tends to be what these drama manga, cat pet manga tend to be about. I like it when there's some fun stuff happening as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I feel like, going off of what you're saying, because for me, a lot of those, like, treacly, like, drama types of things, like, the big thing for me is that they overstay their welcome.
Yes.
It's like, you know, why does this need to be 12 volumes long? You know, to make money. But, I mean, you know, I feel like if it's a comedy manga, if you can get to the punchline in a page, then get to the punchline in a page. Move on to another joke. Like, that was, you know, that's what keeps Nights with a Cat going at a good clip, and with a dog and a cat, every day is fun or whatever. Like, and it's what keeps them going viral, too, right? It's like, you can just screenshot a page, and it's funny on its own.
Yes.
And you don't necessarily have to read the book all the way through. You can just kind of read a couple pages and be like, heh, and then, you know, put it down for a while.
Yes.
You know, I feel like that applies to, like, most gag series as well. And the Peanuts, bringing Snoopy back into this.
Yes.
Well,
we've talked about it before, about how seeing the random clips or screenshots of Yakuza Husband, or whatever it is. What's that series? House Husband.
Yeah.
Is
Ways
funnier.
of the House Husband.
Days of the House Husband is a lot funnier seeing like one page on Twitter versus sitting down and reading it.
Because it's one joke.
Exactly.
But it tries to, like, stretch the joke over, like, a whole chapter and then do it again in another chapter. It's like, you would do a lot better if you just, like, a joke per page. You know, or if this was a 4 So, yeah, that's for the gag ones. I also appreciate how something like Yuzu the Pet Vet is episodic. Yes. So, you know, you meet a new pet every chapter, and yes, it's, you know, treacly drama because it's for 10-year-olds, but like, it gets in, it tells the story it wants to tell, and then it gets out, and it introduces you to another pet. Like, that keeps it going at a good clip, and also, again, gives you the feeling of, like, oh, I can read a chapter of this, and then I can put it down for a while. Which I think is important in a genre like this. Yeah.
That's one of the things that... So, speaking of, like, why is it this long? Again, Inubaka, 22 volumes in Japanese. There's zero reason that had to be the case. I do think that when it was more episodic, and we're dealing with like specific puppies, then it was more interesting, or like it did it well. Any of the overarching character stuff was just atrocious. Atrocious. So, yeah, I agree. Wherein if you are gonna do the treacly drama, it needs to be short and sharp. In the same way that like the comedy stuff needs to be short and sharp. There's only so much. You need some relief. Right? There's only so much overwrought, sad animal stories you can handle in a single volume. So let's not just completely depress the audience. See, he agrees.
That's, thank you for that, Copper. Says input on the he really felt like he needed to get his opinion out there on the pet manga episode, so
which makes sense, of course. What not if getting it straight from the dog's mouth. But yeah, so aside from that, is there anything particular regarding format or genre for pet manga we want to talk about?
Not really. I would also add that I think the one-shot volume is a powerful thing for this type of genre. One title that I like keep forgetting to talk about because it's been years since I've read it, but it is a very good book, is Stargazing Dog. And that one, like, it's very beautifully drawn. It's just one book. It's quite thin, too, as I recall. And, you know, yes, it's a sad dog story, but it's like, it gets in, it tells its story, and it gets out, right?
Yeah.
It's not, like, here to just to wallow in pet drama. And, yeah, that's a good book. I would actually put that as another hidden gem. I feel like a lot of people don't know it exists, but yeah, same with something like Junji Ito's Cat Diary. Like, if that was longer than it would not be as funny as it is. It'd be like, okay, we get it.
You want as a pet manga, you want to go down, especially the dramatic ones. You want to go down the Old Yeller route, where it's just one movie, versus the Air Bud route, where it's 37 movies.
But, and I really want you to consider this. The dogs do play basketball.
Well, what's the other dog franchise? Beethoven. There's a lot of Beethoven movies, weren't there?
Yeah. Or Shiloh. I used to watch those from the library. Shiloh the Beagle.
We don't get a lot of dog movies anymore. Do children have dog movies the same way that we had dog movies? I don't know.
I think they do. I feel like it's just franchises that I don't even know exist. But I'm sure my kids... You know what? The kids, they don't need dog movies because they have Bluey.
They do have Bluey.
The ultimate dog franchise.
Australian Pride. What a wonderful thing.
It's a wonderful series.
It is. It's very, very good. But I think that's all we have to say about pet manga. If we're starting to talk about Bluey.
My favorite pet manga, actually, incidentally.
Very, very good. Thank you once again, everyone who sent in their questions. It was a fun time. It's a little bit of a lighter episode, a little bit of just easy going chat. Next month, we are talking about... I guess this isn't really... I mean, maybe it's a genre. Genre is another kind of type of manga. We're going to be talking about prequels and sequels. Stuff that is spin-offs of original series. We've seen quite a few of get licensed over the last couple of years. So be sure to send in your questions regarding that. Otherwise, if you are new to this podcast, we would appreciate if you liked this episode to follow us. We have a whole bunch of episodes and we talk about all sorts of things. You can follow us on Spotify, on Apple Podcast, on Google Podcast, on Stitcher. Now, as well, on Spotify, you can actually leave comments. So if you did enjoy the episode, leave a comment. We have one already. So thank you to that wonderful listener. Otherwise, you can also watch this on my YouTube channel, which is Simply G. Be sure to follow Ray on her social medias. She's at whimsicalpix, Pix, on Twitter. My Twitter is at G, that's G-E-E, _reads. The hell site that just keeps ticking along, but I refuse to get any other social media. So,
yeah. As long as the Japanese Takarazuka stands are on Shitter, I will also be on there.
So, yes. Thank you guys so much for listening. We'll catch you in the next episode. Bye till then.
Bye, guys.